Welcome to DC.
And here it comes. Swing and a miss. And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Dagger! It's 1974. The Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
Don't like that. I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
Despite all this, despite the churn, my approval ratings keep going up.
We are ready to give our 500% support back to this franchise, back to this city, back to this team after Snyder leaves. And then this is the poo-poo you put on the field.
For the very first time, the Washington Mystics are WNBA champions.
The Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels.
I'm going to support fake teams that can't ruin my life.
Did you call bank? I call game.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Oh my goodness. We have officially entered the darkest season of the sports calendar, FP. Welcome to episode 344, if I'm not mistaken. This is DTC Defeating the Curse. My name is Joe. That is FP on mic number 2. We are definitely late broadcasting this week, FP. I'm not going to apologize to anybody because it's our show. We could do what we want. And by our show, I mean mainly yours and mine, because
absolutely,
where the F are the rest of our guys? Where are these guys? I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. I know it's summer. I know everybody's busy. I mean, I let you down earlier this week, and I'm going to apologize to you. I don't care about the rest of them. I'm apologizing to you because I had to do some work travel. But I'm back, and it is Friday night. It's beautiful weather outside, but the schedule's aligned. The stars aligned here, and it looks like we've got 45 solid minutes. We can squeeze out a show. The streak stays alive. That's important to me, and I appreciate you making time for it. But I do owe you an apology. The Monday-Tuesday schedule fell apart for me this week, or on me this week.
No, hey, it's okay. You know, summer comes, travel happens, sports are on a decline, even though I will say the NBA and the NHL playoffs have been absolutely riveting this offseason or this postseason. It's been, especially the conference finals, it has just been some really, really good games. Both sports just not as boring as you thought it would be. Conference final weekend, any sport is always usually the most fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is a. I mean, it doesn't. You know, I got to be honest. I'm not watching any hockey now that the Caps are gone. I'm surprised actually. Are you still watching?
Oh yeah. You gotta watch.
But you're cheering
Florida
against
Panthers.
Yeah,
they're
that's
just
what I thought.
Spanking the Hurricanes.
Yeah, that's what you wanted to
just,
see.
I feel so vindicated and happy.
Well, but okay, I gotta ask a loaded question.
Get not just lose, but getting beat.
Had our hometown Caps made
we would have competed with the Panthers 100%.
Okay, see, this is the homer take that I love.
No.
It's I love it because I generally agree with you. I think it's a better matchup for us.
100%. Slower, more physical, violent game. 100% in our wheelhouse. 100%.
So what's the difference with them versus with us? Like
how are they stopping the Hurricanes?
What's Florida doing that we didn't do?
There's
just a mirage of offensive shots on goal. I know you don't like that stat, but there's like Carolina's not getting off 70 shots or attempts. Like it's just not happening.
Honestly, all it comes down to is Carolina's shots on goals are less because the Panthers are doing so much better at immediately getting out of the defensive zone and going on the attack. And our defense was always strong, to the point where the Caps could block shot, all the shots on goals. It didn't really matter. It was a low-scoring game for both teams across the series. What Florida is doing is they're just clearing the zone quicker and almost flipping the script on the Hurricanes, and they're going in and they're taking high-value shots immediately, quicker, faster, right? And that's always kind of been the Capitals' shortcoming is they could do great on defense. They have the offensive firepower. It's that transition from defense into offense where they struggle. And that's where the age kind of catches up to you. So the Panthers are essentially exactly like the Capitals, but they don't have the old guard. They don't have the Ovi, the Carlsons, half of a Wilson. They don't have those older players that just account for the slowness. That's all it is.
Okay. I mean, are you watching as closely as you were, other matchups? Or are you into it, like appointment television, like it was with the Caps?
Yeah, like I'm a constant. Well, not appointment television. I'm NHL heavy, and then I'll flip to NBA.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. So I go
But-
NBA, and then I like
there's been some games like that Pacers game one against the Knicks. My goodness.
I could talk about the Pacers probably for an hour straight, and not about any individual player on the team, and not about the franchise, and not about the history, and not about Reggie and the history between him specifically, the irony of him calling this game.
Right.
The Pacers own 3 of the 4 total playoff games historically that result in a team down by more than 14 with 2 minutes to play winning the game. Did you see that stat?
All this year's playoffs.
3 of the 4 ever happened in this 2024-2025 playoff run.
I mean, the
nuts.
resiliency is just
They don't quit. I mean, they are the definition of don't quit. And the Knicks, I didn't mean to hijack the hockey section, the hockey segment here, go straight into the NBA, but you know how I feel, and I've said it before about the Knicks, right? If the Knicks they did get 20, they got almost 80 points out of 2 guys.
Right.
Couldn't win. Couldn't stop.
I mean, Brunson is playing at an all-star level. It's not him.
I'm honestly not a Brunson guy, though. Are you a Brunson guy?
I'm not really a Brunson guy, but he shows up when he needs to show up. Yeah. Right, from the points to the assists to the even a couple steals. Like he's doing all-star numbers.
He's gonna fill the box score
for sure.
I don't trust him.
The thing is the Knicks. Like if you watch game 1, even if you watch game 2 right now, they're doing nothing wrong. It's just the Pacers I'm
watching this game 2 right here.
Yeah, the Pacers just have every answer, right? And then when it comes down to the end of it, like you said, I don't hate Brunson. I'm taking Halliburton over Brunson.
I don't hate Cat. Like I don't hate Cat, but I'm not taking him over. Like I mean, the Pacers are super deep. Super. There's 6 or 7 guys
honestly
that can 3-and-D and dunk and like run the offense. I mean, I know we talk about the Wizards. Hopefully, please God, hear our prayers becoming the Thunder. But if they become the Pacers, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, honestly, and I mean, I'm glad you brought up the Thunder because watching that series and watching the Pacers Knicks, like. It's great to see all 4 of these teams in the conference finals, and I would be okay with any matchup of the 4.
Sure.
But you got to root Thunder Pacers because of how deep those teams are and how defensive-minded they can be, especially down the stretch. I don't know if the
commissioner and the league and the network.
They probably don't. They probably want the bigger markets.
They definitely want
the Knicks. The Knicks market, yes.
They definitely want New York.
Ant-Man, like the next.
The marketable phase.
The marketable phase.
I think basketball guys and gals would want the matchup you just listed out.
Right.
The Thunder and the Pacers would be a fascinating duel.
Like 100% that's going to 7.
Super deep.
Right.
And, they got studs at the 2, studs at the 3. Like, it would be awesome, right? And frankly, I don't think enough people appreciate how good SGA is.
I mean, is he not as marketable as Ant-Man? I think he's just as marketable.
This is going to sound really rude. I don't think his name helps him here, right? Like, I think, like...
Yeah, the acronym helps.
Sure. Yeah, fine. But, like, it's Mike, right? Or Kobe or LeBron, right? SGA doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue the same way. And honestly, his game is he's like a perfect mix of, like, 4 or 5 different players.
He's like a 6 man of the year that's also an all-star.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. He reminds me of, remember, I mean, maybe you don't remember. I was hardcore into the NBA when the OKC, like when the Thunder were first coming up, right? When they first moved over to
like
Oklahoma
the start
City,
of the KD or
KD, Westbrook, and Harden. People sleep on how good no beard James Harden was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was wild off the bench. right? I mean, the best six man I think I've ever seen in all of my years watching basketball was Jamal Crawford. And I'll fight to the death that dude never got the praise he deserved because he was incredible anyway, that's not the point I was trying to make. SGA, like you said, he's like, I mean, you can't take anything away from him. He's the MVP. He's the MVP of the NBA for this season, and it's well deserved. And he's one of like 4 to do it and also win the scoring title, averaging over 32 points.
It's kind of crazy that
rare air.
It's kind of crazy that the last 6 MVPs aren't American born.
Yeah, I mean, but
between Joker and Giannis and SGA, right. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if Luka got one. Did Luka get one?
He may have gotten one of them.
But, to take it back to this matchup that's on TV right now tonight, like game 2, like the Knicks have to get this or it's done. I mean, maybe not sweep, but gentleman's sweep. If they can't get this,
yeah, it'll be a gentleman's. They'll probably steal one in Indiana if they don't. But yeah,
get this one tonight.
If the Pacers steal both at MSG,
finished.
That's
finished.
series. Yeah,
finished. You're not going to win. You're not going to win for like 5. It's not going to happen. Like
because the biggest thing for the Pacers all this entire postseason is their home court advantage is just
wild. And people sleep on Indiana too. Like I understand it's Indiana, but that's like Hoosier basketball,
right?
Country.
Yeah,
like this is like
it runs deep.
It's as big as the Colts are there. Are the Pacers bigger? I think so.
Right now, yeah.
Right? I mean, think of the pedigree and the history around Indiana and basketball.
Yeah.
Like I mean, the Colts have had their moment for sure, and the NFL is the NFL. But I think it's one of the few markets where you would look at the NBA team and say, when this team's on, this is the hardest ticket to get. And not just because it's a smaller arena, but it's like
Indiana, I mean, maybe my geography's off, but Indiana really is just a 2-sport city, like 2-sport region. They don't have.
I mean,
they don't have the hockey, baseball.
I think Chicago would be the closest.
Yeah, like it's not really like Indiana's going to hold on tight to the Colts and the Pacers.
Yeah,
and the Colts since Peyton left. Well, since Luck left.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the Pacers have the edge there.
Yeah,
like Detroit is the opposite, right? Detroit is a football first city. Another Midwest city, right? The Pistons have been terrible for a long time. But with Indiana in particular, like the Colts. Yeah,
but they also like Detroit has like the Tigers and the Red Wings, and they can spread the love a little bit, and all of them, all 4 of them are semi-competitive at any given time.
Indianapolis comes down to 2 teams, and I think not just because of how good the Pacers are. I mean, they are set up to be good for a long time.
Yes.
Also,
that is a framework I would not mind if the Wizards followed that over a case.
No,
OKC.
either of those teams.
That's the correct framework.
Both teams are. They basically have one stud guard, 1 or 2 serviceable centers, and then a whole bunch of players that can play 2, 3, or 4 on both sides of the field. They can 3 and D, they can shoot, they can play D, like very, very fluid. And Indiana,
you gotta get the coaching right. The coaching for both of those teams has been outstanding.
Yeah, and that's fair. Looking at the Wolves for a second, it was curious to see this stat flash on the screen last night. I was watching that game. Ant-Man owns most points for in franchise history in the playoffs. For whatever reason, in my mind, he's been like 2 seasons, 3 seasons.
Kind of a disappearing act to this postseason.
But just in general, right? Like think when you think of the greats in a Wolves uniform, I mean, it's Kevin Garnett.
Mm-hmm.
I would still put Stephon Marbury in that mix.
Well,
I know he's forgotten, right? But
yeah.
Everyone swears by Ant-Man, and like I get the Jordan jokes and I understand it, and maybe there's some merit there, but let me say it this way: his good games and SGA's good games are similar,
right?
His bad games are way
completely disappears
than SGA's or any other stud in the league. Like
because even when he's off. Yeah, like when he's off, he's way off. He's not hitting the assists. He's not demanding any respect on the court. Like when the other team sees that Ant is off, they just kind of ignore him. They don't have to worry about him because he's not getting his shot back that whole game, and you know he's not going to get his shot back.
No, and he's the type that feels, there's been a couple players in history that like, and Kobe had some of this. Mike maybe had a little bit of this too. Like he feels like he needs to shoot his way out of. Jimmy Butler's the same way. He's going to shoot his way out of a slump
instead of focusing on defense and helping where you can help. It's let me keep taking these shots.
Yes, it's
and
all
of a sudden he's 9 of 26 from the field. Like it's just
it's all of the worst characteristics of like peak prime Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
Instead of refocusing, shift, distribute the ball, do a little pick and roll, do something to get somebody else involved. He just keeps forcing it and chucking it and forcing it and chucking it and driving and try to get to the, and eventually you wear down the refs too. The refs don't, I truly believe the refs don't want to call a million fouls. And this constant like drive and forcing them to make calls, I think it actually discourages them down the stretch from making calls. I know that's a weird take, but I think when you play into that, especially in the playoffs, at least this is my read, FP, they're not calling as many fouls. Like they're letting them play a little bit more.
Right.
You feel the same way or not?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
games
think
are more
the
fluid.
refs,
They move.
I mean, compared to hockey, they're freaking drag. But yeah, the refs are definitely letting this be a more defensive minded playoffs where they're not going to call every ticky-tack foul that happens. It's a little reminiscent of old school NBA where you can have those hits, you can have those hard fouls that don't automatically result in like a technical or anything.
Shoot your
like
free
that.
throws and get take the ball out on the side. Just let's go. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect to happen in this Indiana in this Pacers Knicks series? I know this is going to crush our boy John and Tony and all the Knicks fans out there, but I just think Indiana is suited better to win this series.
I mean, it all comes down to tonight's game, to game 2, right? If the Knicks can come out without overcorrecting or over trying to show out and take control of the game, if they just play their game and they can win game 2, then I think they're okay. But if the Pacers find a way to make it interesting towards the end of this game, and they're fully tied up right now. If the Pacers take it, that's it. Gentleman's sweep is basically how I see it.
Are you a big game 2 guy? I'm generally a game 2 is the most important game of the series. I know Stevie comes down. He's a big game 3 guy. LP's always historically been a game 1 guy. I tend to agree with you that game 2 tends, well, I don't know if this is your take or not, but for me, the difference between a 2-0 lead and a 1-1 tie is massive psychologically. Very different than
game 2 is important if top seed loses game 1.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Game 2 is important. But
anybody can drop game 1.
Game 3, if top seed is winning 1 and 2, game 3 becomes absolutely the most important game of the series, right? Like,
and that's fair. I think I would still argue that game 2 matters more. Anybody can drop game 1. Does the better team correct?
I think it's an easier pill to swallow if you're the Pacers here, and hypothetically you lose game 1 and you lose game 2 in Madison Square. It's an easier pill to swallow that you lost over there at New York and you come back home. You have your home court stand, 2 games. Let's make it right. That's what makes game 3 super, super important. But like right now, the Pacers are like, we stole one in game 1. It would be great to get game 2, but it doesn't matter to us. But to the Knicks, game 2 is make or break.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of a 7-game series, right?
Sure.
And that's why sense. Like if you want to parlay or what am I trying to say? Take this conversation and throw it into the NFL real quick. There was a rule recommended where they do playoff reseeding for the NFL. It doesn't work for the NFL because it's 1-game playoffs. You can't do the reseeding.
Well, let's talk about it for a second. How are you for or against the reseeding?
No, reseeding in the NFL, no.
Why?
You got to keep the importance of division games, and winning your division gets you a home playoff game. If you reseed and suddenly division games don't matter as much, that changes everything. It changes like the entire culture of the NFL in the regular season.
Well,
You can't afford to do that.
I didn't see in detail. Are they suggesting that when reseeding happens, the home field would then shift with the game? Or
I think there was two variations of the rule, right? There was like the basic reseeding based on record,
yes,
which got shot down, and the one that may have had legs but also got shot down eventually was reseeding after the first round.
So I gotta be honest. I think I'm okay with reseeding after the first round, right? I think
it would be intriguing.
It creates a little bit of, if you're the 4th seed and you're planning to be on the road to play the 1 seed, but the 1 seed gets knocked out and suddenly you're hosting a game. Like, okay, like maybe I can understand the argument that you didn't deserve to host a game or you shouldn't be hosting a game because, whatever. But if you're reseeding and the 4 is actually the 3,
right?
Well, they would be hosting the game anyway, right? So
yeah, but you also have to think about the 2020 Washington football team. If they were to have beaten the Buccaneers, they would have had another home playoff game.
Sure.
But if they reseeded, it's gone
on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the advantage to in the reseeding?
The teams that are in difficult divisions that have the good record.
Well, I think the
so like NFC North
example.
2020 Commanders, but also like last year's NFC North, where you have the Vikings and the Lions both at 14 wins.
Yeah.
That's where you want the reseeding because it's like the Vikings got screwed all because of one divisional matchup in week 3.
I think I'm okay with it, FP. I think if you're the better team, you should have the advantage of being the better team. Like this is a problem with the current
but also if you're in a crappy division, but you win that division, you should still get the reward. You should get that home playoff game. It's not your fault you're in a crappy division.
No, but it would be after the first round anyway, so you would get the first playoff game. Right? It would be going into the second round. The Commanders,
but then you go even further. If you win a home playoff game, and technically you should get a second home playoff game if you have a really good home field advantage. If you're the Seattle Seahawks and you have and somehow, some way you're a 8-9 team and somehow you won your division because the entire NFC West falls apart and you get the division, you get the win, but that home field advantage gets you that win in round 1. Mm-hmm. You need that home field advantage in round 2.
Yeah.
Because that's a pivotal part of that team, of that franchise, of their identity.
This is one of those situations where I don't think anyone cares passionately until it locally affects your team.
Correct.
Like, I don't care if the Eagles get reseeded. I don't care if, I would care tremendously if the Commanders end up getting reseeded, right? Because based on their regular season record, right, they're the worst team remaining in the draw, or the best team for that matter. I think, again, I can argue it either way. The NFL has an interesting habit, and I won't say it's good or bad, of just tinkering. There's a lot of tinkering.
There's
tinkered with the playoffs. We re-tinkered with the playoffs.
Honestly, the best was 16 games, 6 seeds. The 17 games, 7 seeds.
Well, they got to go to 18.
The 7 seeds can go. If you're going to go 18 games, I want to find a way where you can still go back to 6 seeds. That 7th seed playoff team, I'm not mistaken, I mean, we need a stat boy or somebody, but if I'm not mistaken, that 7th seed always flames out in the playoffs.
I mean, there's only a couple years of it being
maybe like when you're the Packers upsetting the Cowboys or something, but it's almost never worth it.
The big loser in that is not the 7th seed getting in, right? I mean, that no one's going to complain about playoff revenue and more eyeballs and more games. The big loser is that the 2nd seed doesn't get the automatic, the first round bye, right? Like that was the big shift. I don't think people necessarily cared about one lesser team getting into the tournament. So it's the 2nd seed that historically, first and second have historically always had one, a bye, right, to rest. It makes, the flip side argument is, well, there's no resting down the stretch, because if you're still in contention for that top seed, you're playing every game because you want that second bye.
It's true.
But I think you've got to push. I think the league has to. 17 is a very weird number. They got to get to 18.
It is weird, yeah.
And then continue to tinker with the Thursday stretch, double bye, whatever, right, to make it kind of work. Dump another preseason game if you don't need it.
Something's going to have to change, especially with the introduction of more international games. Because right now, 17 games, multiple international games, not adding a second bye week, like it's going to wear down on these teams and these players. And it's going to get to the point where like the player union or whatever, they're going to be like, you got to change it or we're going on strike or something crazy is going to burst.
Do you think we will see in our lifetime international football, like competitive football, right? Like if you go back to the 90s, basketball outside of the USA was moderately competitive, and now you could say it is very competitive.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, you got the Olympics introducing flag football, you got the owners saying, hey, you can play in this thing. Like Goodell and the owners are all about the internationalizing of the game. So they're all in on this.
Which is great. And I think it's good for the sport. But yeah, right now, if you're gonna have Justin Jefferson go against a Deloitte analyst from London for the Olympic Games in flag football.
But you might end up with a Pierre Garçon playing for Haiti.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. You may end up with players playing for their native countries, right? And it's pass me the ball and get out of my way situation, right? So and
that would be cool. Yeah.
Right. But do you think there's like rugby exists in pockets throughout Europe and Asia?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Cricket doesn't really matter in the United States, but cricket is, when you look at it, right, like it's kind of baseball-ish in a way, right? I understand sport, but once upon a time there was NFL Europe. We have the USFL or whatever that's called.
Right.
There is an actual European football league that nobody cares
Canadian
about.
Football League is actually
There's
pretty
Canadian,
legit.
right? Like Canada versus USA in football would actually produce an interesting
if you
match
could
in the sense
find a way to pull the formula of the 4 nations that the NHL does during All-Star break, instead of having an actual All-Star game, you do the 4 nations. That
good.
But that's the thing. Like, you have to keep it something like that, where you do 4 nations, 4 of the best football markets, and those are the ones that compete against each other. You can't go soccer method where you have all of the different countries, all of the different places. That's not going to.
And I hear you, but Goodell is very purposeful, right? They're very deliberate about where they put these international games. Like if you can get Brazil to play football, our football, within a generation or two, you'd have football, like real football, and a population to support it. If you can get, I don't. London is an easy draw, in my opinion. They've been watering that. They've been sowing that seed for 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Madrid, Germany
would be a big one.
Germany was the old home of the European Football League, right? Of NFL Europe.
Yeah.
So like there is some cachet and some history here. I think there's an appetite for it, but at the same time, the NFL has to find a way to make sure that the product they're putting on TV and taking around the world is of the highest possible quality.
Yeah, and honestly, the international games, the increase, I'm all for it. Like I like the fact that the Commanders are going to go to Spain and they're going to play. I think it's amazing. It'll be even cooler if you start seeing
by the way.
I mean, we definitely need to take a field trip, but if you start getting like Tokyo, or you start getting like some of the even further east countries involved,
sure,
it would be awesome, because not only do you get to see sort of their well-established soccer stadiums being on display, and you get to kind of just see the liveliness of all the different crowds, but yeah, you're going to take the game of football, the pure game of football,
yes,
and you're going to introduce it to the world. And that can only help the sport and the NFL at whole, because right now, if it's America only, there's a lot of debate about, are you going to let your kids play football or not? And you can almost see the well dry up, because almost any parent that you talk to now, are you going to let your kid play football if he wants to play football? No.
Yeah.
Almost every single one says no.
Baseball wasn't fully international until about 40 years ago. Right? I mean, baseball became international. Baseball in Japan is, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can argue that it's bigger than in the United States, but it's huge. Baseball in South American countries and the Caribbean is huge, right? When the soccer universe comes through America for their preseason, Americans don't generally go out to see Manchester United versus Arsenal or Barcelona or whatever in these tune-up games. You could put Auburn versus Michigan in Tokyo and get 100,000 people in there.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's generally more interest in supporting sports that you're not familiar with in other countries. I look at F1 is another one. You guys have been, I know. Just keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants.
I just got so excited. Monaco this weekend. Let's go. Huge race.
Oh my God. Keep it in your pants. F1 is slowly growing in the United States by comparison to NASCAR. In the end, NASCAR's been here forever, but it didn't necessarily correlate directly to F1 being popular, open wheel racing.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because of Netflix and the popularization of whatever, I mean, you guys are into it. I see the chats on Sunday, right? We do church check-in, and then it's F1 geek out hour, throttle hour for.
But and that's kind of the formula, right? Like you almost need the reality TV add-on to make it grow, right? Like even NASCAR copied F1, and they have their Netflix series now. I think they're in season 2 right now of like whatever it's called, not Drive to Survive.
Driver?
That's F1. It's like not Need for Speed, something along the lines of that.
Sure.
But that's the NASCAR equivalent of the Netflix in season following. And they tried to do it with football. They tried to do it with like the quarterbacks and the receivers and those ones, but it wasn't captivating enough.
Sure.
To make it like a phenomenon.
You need one like British or Spanish player to crack. You need like the Dirk Nowitzki of football, right? You need somebody that like host nation is just, we're gonna watch every game.
Actually, you know what helps, and this is another segue for us, is Hard Knocks, the in-season divisional version of Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Like this year it's NFC East. If you grow up in the States and you grow up an NFC East fan, the magnitude of watching the NFC East in division Hard Knocks because of how close you are to these teams. Like, I don't know every player of every team. I know every player of the Cowboys, Eagles, and Giants. I know them intimately. I know them up and down. I know all the drama of all those teams. And that's one of those divisions that's so storied, so historic. That is something where you can see that season of Hard Knocks explode into the international scene. And you suddenly have people from Japan and Germany and Brazil and all these places be like, oh, this is the reality TV taste that we got from F1, that we got from all these other sports that draws us in.
We actually saw this a few years ago on Amazon when Amazon they rolled out Man City Centurions, right? Man City Centurions was basically it was behind the scenes for the entire season for Manchester, following Pep Guardiola and Manchester City in their quest to win 3 titles and get 100 points in a single season in a table. It never happened. It was riveting. My wife, who couldn't care less about the behind the scenes of EPL, club soccer in England, could not care less, was riveted by learning the personalities and how the owners interact with the coaches and the players.
Yeah. Similarly, you even have the FX show with Wrexham that's doing the job too.
Wrexham is actually a huge catalyst for the popularity of soccer in the United States. I don't think people realize how huge this is. It's not, the Hulu numbers are 3.6 to 4.5 million. The last episode was somewhere around like 9 million people. Mm-hmm. And I saw people poo-pooing on that. That's insane because that's 9 million eyeballs that suddenly will buy merch, have an interest in this team.
For a lower tier team.
They have been promoted for 5 or 4 seasons. That doesn't happen. They are one promotion away
from Premier.
From Premier.
It's insane.
they were like a church league team when the show
they were
started.
like JV, not even JV.
And what's fascinating about their story, FP, if you look, and Hulu published this like maybe a month and a half ago, the numbers for season 1 of Wrexham match the streaming numbers for the current season. What does that tell you?
People are bought in. They're following the story.
People are learning and going to the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. And they're consuming it in order because they want to understand, because people are talking about.
They want to see what the path was that was taken.
Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to F1, right? Like for me, I always loved F1, but I didn't follow it intimately. And then, Drive to Survive comes on, and then you get on Reddit, you get on Twitter, you get on whatever. Everyone's talking about Drive to Survive, the drama. And you're like, well, I want to get into this, but I want to know all the drama from the start. So you start season 1, even though they're on season 6 or 7 now. You're like, I want to learn everything. I want to learn these players. I want to learn the drama and do all of that. If the NFL or any of the U.S. sport Big Four can find that formula where they can take the drama behind the regular season games and the teams that we all know intimately, right? Like Matt and Stevie with baseball, you and me and LP with football. Like the drama behind it is what sucks us into the regular season.
20 loves his combat sports.
Exactly. Yeah.
Razzle was a little active this week, but for non-sports topics only. This week in the
DTC chat was
buzzing. We
buzzing.
could probably sell memberships to the DTC chat.
If there was a paywall to that podcast, you should pay.
Just to the chat, I think people would be blown away by what's in the chat.
But,
we were kicking around this idea of we need to record a show and put it on CD, one of one, like Wu-Tang. And it only exists in our minds, memories, and on one copy of the CD. But we pull all the stops, and whichever one of the cast or anybody out there who pays top dollar, they get it and they get to do whatever they want with it.
No. That's too
very appealing.
Terrifying.
Are you sure?
Terrifying.
Like one completely unfiltered, no blackouts, no strike throughs, just go. Anytime.
Terrifying.
I mean,
there are some unfiltered conversations.
Well, I mean, I'm saying if we did it, I mean, I would empty my bank account to make sure I had the only copy of that episode, and I'd probably take a hammer to it once it was done. But the idea of recording it and having it, the problem is somebody like LP probably like sneaks his cell phone in, right? We would have to like confiscate all recording devices.
Yeah.
Right, like totally unfiltered, never be like it becomes an unmentionable. This is one.
I think if that were to ever truly happen, we would see some undisclosed funds come out from some strangers from the woodworks trying to buy that CD, and we'd be like,
everybody wants to know the truth. They want to know the truth.
Between who's involved in that offline chat.
There's also some people that
there's a lot of information in that chat. Yeah.
There's buzzing. There's one or two people in particular that have been.
Yeah, let me just duck in the background.
Yeah. Listen, I think everybody's like quietly waiting. You also got one. Andy's starting to pot constantly. He's like, I don't know what we're talking about. And everyone's like, yes, you do, dumbass. Yes, you do.
No, I think sometimes you forget how the age discrepancy between Andy and kind of the rest of us. And he was kind of in his own world with a lot of the conversations we're discussing.
That's fair. But not so disconnected that he didn't. Well, I mean, this is gonna devolve.
Like if you want more, buy the CD.
Exactly, the one copy that exists. Oh, that would be wild. We'd have to, but literally, we'd have to take every phone from everybody that comes in. We'd have to probably bring in a producer or somebody to hit go on the board, and then we go. No,
that would be if that CD made it out to the public. Aside from all the drama that would come up from it,
I mean, it would.
But we would get Barstool, all whatever major podcast conglomerates are out there, and they would be like, "Do this again all the time. here's $1
No, but
million
that's
a person.
listen.
per
That's the end of
episode.
our home lives. That's the end of our
Yeah, there's
friendships
no
outside of the
privacy.
group.
Yeah,
It's over at that point.
Yeah, but realistically, outside
We're
of the
famous.
wives,
We're famous.
outside of the wives, is their friendship that strong outside of this group? No, the group is the strong friendship. So
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, real talk. Would the group survive that episode? I think there's one person in particular that doesn't survive that episode.
The group would survive in that we would keep talking to each other, but would the actual life of the people survive or exist as we know it? No, absolutely.
I think we would see the first self-ejection from the group after that episode. Like, we've never had one of those. We've never had a situation where somebody
we've never had so and so has left the chat.
So yeah, that weighs on me too. But I got one more topic for you. I was going to talk about the Rockies and their 8 wins and how they should be relegated, but I don't know where you would. Like, they really should be. Like, if there was ever a team that should be relegated, and I'm being a little bit facetious here, but they've won 8 games. They've lost 43 games. They haven't won a game in 6 weeks. And if there was ever a sport where you could relegate teams, it's baseball, because they've got 40 minor leagues below them. But it's unfair that any professional team gets to just rack wins up against a team that's legit not trying at all. I don't know how you reconcile that with like professionalism. Like, I'm not saying they're throwing games, but they are so poorly constructed and coached and managed. It's literally unfair.
If it's an even rotation through the seasons and just teams are going to suck, everyone's going to beat up on them, and then eventually they build up, and then you know, like, that's what we basically had with the A's a few seasons ago. Absolute trash. And then, you know, the rumors of the move and everything, and, you know, starts building up a little bit more, and it's what we thought was going to happen with the Nationals, but somehow, some way, they're proving to be a resilient team and kind of exciting to watch. But if it's an even rotation across all the teams every few seasons, I'm okay with it. If you're consistently 5 or more seasons in the poo-poo gutters, then yeah, maybe you have to introduce some relegation.
I mean, the Rockies weren't terrible like 4 seasons ago,
right? But that's
really
what I'm
bad
saying
right now, and it's unfair that like
the natural ebbs and flows of contract work and players leaving and all of that. Like, yeah, it happens.
Well, but in baseball in particular, because you play so many interdivision games, it's a huge disadvantage to everyone not in the division to not be able to beat up on the Rockies.
Well, the crazy thing is, and this is the bigger conversation with it, is between the 4 big sports, right? And we're seeing it like highlighted this year, the parity between all teams within hockey, within NBA, within NFL. The parity is getting so like razor thin margins.
Yeah. It's good for the leagues.
Good for the league. That is not the case with baseball, because baseball money makes no sense.
But at the same time, the Mets spent $1 billion and are basically the Phillies, like in the like.
Yeah, but then you have the Dodgers, who are always going to do Dodgers things.
Sure.
You know, like.
But you have teams like the Astros that come out of nowhere and are.
But I would say before you introduce relegations, you should have some revamp to your CBA and be like, we're going to change baseball money so that we can aim towards parity a little bit more.
That's a good take, FP, because really, where did the Mets get that money? It's not coming from the gate. It's not coming from popcorn and hot dogs. It's coming from the owners.
Right.
So, I mean, we saw this. I think the extension of your argument is the NFL isn't the NFL today without salary cap and salary cap penalties that both enforce teams to spend money.
Right.
So there's no Kansas City Royals spending zero or Rockies. You have to spend money or you're penalized.
Right.
You can't exceed a cap or you're penalized. And then if you exceed the cap and you're penalized and you pay the penalty, there's another like higher level penalty. Yeah. So you're right. Like maybe that's how you start to clean this up a little bit. Maybe, but it'll take time.
It'll take time. But if you can get baseball to the point where like listen, the NBA regular season, for me, not as exciting, but I'll tune into the NHL regular season because a lot of those teams you recognize the star players. For me personally, you recognize more of the star players, and obviously there's the marquee matchups for the NBA, but you recognize more of the tier 1 and tier 2 players, and you see that parity, and that gets you competitive gameplay, game in and game out for the entire 82 game season. With baseball being one of those long season sports, football is its own thing because it's so reduced in exposure of how much football you get to see. But in these long season sports, it's just if baseball can find a way to introduce more parity, and you finally think about everything that comes from that, right? Like the TV contracts, the merchandise contracts, the must watch TV in June and July when there's nothing else on TV, and your ratings are spiking because you have that parity, and all of a sudden a Guardians versus a Dodgers game is something that's must watch TV, right? And a Rockies versus a Mets game is must watch TV because all of these games could go either way. And then another wrinkle introduced is the sports betting behind it. I guarantee you, I have no numbers behind this, but I almost guarantee you that baseball sports betting is not as high as it could be, even though it's statistics driven and there's super dorks out there.
I think cumulative, you may end up with more just because of the number of games, and there's so much prop betting, much prop betting in baseball. I mean, all the way down to balls and strikes. There's a lot to bet on.
But it could grow exponentially if the parity gets evened out.
I don't know. I think it's always going to be limited by the attention span of the audience, right? There's something to be said about and the pitch
length of the game, the pitch clock helped.
That definitely helps, right? I still think in the end, sports like soccer or hockey, where you have these long stretches of action, are almost always going to win out than quarter driven sports. I don't know how to say what I'm thinking, but like the NFL has a lot of breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And early in the season last year, I remember you and I actually talking about the games feel longer, right? This feels like there's a lot more.
Right.
This feels like it's taking up a lot of time, right? And it was to the point where I know for me anyway, I was starting 1:00 games at 1:45, right? So I could do a little, skip and shift to get, as much action condensed into a 2-hour window as opposed to sitting there for 3. Like that extra hour with my kids on a Sunday makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have that in hockey. Those games move, right? Like
hockey is it's the same formula as soccer, more or less.
And soccer, I understand it's 45 minutes at a time, but 45 and then 20 pause and 45 back on.
Exactly.
Very nice. Very
20
nice.
minutes on, 20-minute pause, 20-minute on, 20-minute pause for hockey.
It's a 2-hour window start to finish. Baseball is still consistently 3 hours plus.
And it almost comes down to just the marketing of baseball, right? Like one is America's pastime, everything else is sports, right? Baseball is designed to be that the low outing.
Point. It's baseball is not a TV sport,
right?
It is an in-person experiential sport.
Yes.
Basketball is a TV sport,
100%.
Because there's only 7 good seats, and then everybody else is watching from the nosebleed.
Hockey's a little bit of both because nosebleeds of hockey, you get to see everything just like soccer.
Because the field, so to speak, is huge. Soccer is huge, right? And I think you could argue either way, but with baseball in particular, it's not like there's a lot of stuff happening on your screen, right? If you have a poopy, 60 hertz refresh TV, is going to look great because nothing's moving on the screen,
right?
So it's interesting how they're going to have to shift this, and I think the pitch clock helps. I think, they do have marketable names. They have household names that they can, kind of get behind and push.
It's growing for sure.
But it doesn't help when Soto is the highest paid player and he is basically vanished,
right, from
relevancy, right? So,
but the crazy thing is when October hits, baseball has the eyeballs. Yeah. Even though it's the start of NFL, it's the start of NBA, it's the start of NHL.
Season, it's we're inside, we're doing stuff, right? But in the middle of summer, today's a gorgeous day. It was a gorgeous day.
A great day to go to Nats Park today. If
I'm not at Nats Park,
I'm not turning on that game.
I'm not turning on a TV.
No, I'm going to go do anything else.
right? I know
Right.
Stevie watches a lot of Matt does too. They watch the games outside, like in their backyards. And that's cool because they're into it. There's a million other things. I'd rather watch Ocean's 11 for the 13th time, right? I watched Ocean's 11 3 times in 2 weeks.
You think we need another?
Just because it's on
We'll
Netflix.
get another.
It's on Netflix, right? So yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it. I could talk about it right now.
Yeah.
And I revisited 12 and I revisited 13. And and 13 is pretty terrible though.
Yeah, but 13 has that one scene with the soundtrack.
13 is the Greco. I mean, I could talk about it. We're gonna get to OMC here in a second, but enough about baseball. Actually, I want to talk. There's one last topic, and then we can pivot into OMC. 5,000 episodes for Around the Horn, and today was their last broadcast. I got to be honest, this hit me in a way that I wasn't really expecting this to impact me or like make me feel the way that I felt. Like learning about, like I knew this day was coming. We had talked about it in the chat.
Yeah, end of an era.
But this whole week I've tuned in, and I feel like I grew up with Tony Reale, like legit. Like he's been hosting a staple sports programming show for 23 years, FP. And now it goes dark. And I don't know if you caught him with Dan Patrick. He did a 35-minute hit with Dan Patrick earlier this week. Riveting to hear two Titans in their own rights in very different capacities talk about their experience and calling it, basically when it was time to walk away for Dan Patrick from the Big Show when he was he even admitted, he said, like, my decision was kind of made for me when Keith Olbermann decided he was not going to renew. Dan Patrick was 5 years SportsCenter, the 6 o'clock, right? The Big Show when he moved on, and he wanted to be home with kids and this and that. Reale was openly campaigning to keep the show on. In fact, his pitch, and if anyone's listening to this that didn't listen to that 30-minute interview, it's well worth your time. If you're a sports fan, Around the Horn fan, if you grew up listening to Reale and on PTI as Stat Boy, like his pitch to the network was, we can get some athletes in here from time to time. We can bring in local sports podcasters from different markets relevant at the time for different sports things. We can do like local hits. He had ideas to keep the show moving.
He hit the podcast market before podcasts were a thing.
The one thing though he insisted on that apparently ESPN was not willing to do, and I couldn't believe he said it on the Dan Patrick Show. He said at the heart of Around the Horn was journalism. The difference between PTI and all the other shows is those guys are not writing on deadline the next day or that same night. Whereas the people that came on Around the Horn, the legacy cast and the current, active journalists.
Yeah.
You're getting and if you remember, I don't know if you remember like the original slug or tagline for when Max Kellerman was the original host. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, 02 to 04 or whatever.
Host. He would come on and say, this is Around the Horn, and where we go around the horn talking about sports because people in this area don't think that people in this area know anything about sports.
You're pitting two beat reporters against each other
to talk about,
and you're getting real discussion.
Yeah, and Reale took it up like 3-4 levels by introducing the mute button and the FaceTime, and over 23 years. I mean, they had a couple controversies with like Woody Page put a 1-900 number on his board one time that caused a big problem. Jay Mariotti caused a problem. Like there was a couple things here and there, but it wasn't overly political, although it had its moments, just like the country did. But you're right. Like it was a sports podcast on TV before there were sports podcasts.
I think the downfall is the new generation. Right, the younger generation.
If you say because they can't consume media 30
no.
chunks.
What I'm gonna say is I think they're turning on the TV, and like the Gen Zs and below, they're like, why am I watching a Teams meeting on TV? Why am I watching a Zoom call on TV? And I think it just didn't connect to them. But to us, because we didn't grow up
evolutionary.
To us, we didn't grow up with Teams and Zoom and all and Skype or whatever, however old you want to go. To us, we're like, well, this is fantastic, right? Like it didn't even phase us that we're watching a Teams meeting on TV. Like that's all Around the Horn was.
Yes.
And realistically, like you can almost, it's almost like for sure the layout of Around the Horn influenced Zoom and Teams and everything else, because the people that are coding those programs probably are our age and watched Around the Horn. Like, that's how old and how big of a staple it was to everybody.
It was cross genre. I mean, Crossfire on CNN was based on the same concept.
Yeah, exactly.
But
the staple, like you and I, like, you wake up in the morning when we were younger, you immediately puts on Sports Center, like the classic clean Sports Center, the left hand bar, the bottom line, yeah. And then
that's jelly, because jam don't shake like that.
You go to school, you go to work, you do whatever, you come back 5 o'clock. You're not putting on the evening news.
It's Around the Horn.
You're putting on Around the Horn and PTI, and then another Sports Center, and you're getting all your data. But now
you're getting ready for the evening matchups.
But now your phone's in your pocket. You don't need Around the Horn. You don't need PTI. You have Twitter. You have group chats. You have Reddit. You have everything right there instantly. Yeah. You don't need a recap show.
That's fair. I also think journalism is, I don't think people have the patience for long form discussion even anymore. Right. I think like what made Woody Page and Tim Kalishaw and Jay Adonde and Jackie McMullen, like, and Bob Ryan, these guys were like orators. They were truly journalists, and they used their platform to do stuff. So it's yeah, I mean, it's 4,960 episodes, something like that. That's a lot of shows.
It's a long, yeah. I mean, I don't know what ESPN's going to do to fill up that time.
I don't think they're going to do anything. I think what's going to end up happening is, well, I don't know. Reality's contract's up at the end of August. I don't know if he's going to do anything, to be honest.
But also ESPN, if I'm not mistaken, Disney is buying NFL Network, right? And they're going to have a lot of product and content that they can bring in.
Bringing Eisen over, I think
they're going to get Eisen. They're going to get Red Zone. There's going to get a lot of stuff that they can start filling in.
I don't know. It was a sad day. I didn't think I was going to get as emotional as I did. I'm gonna FP. Let's take a 90-second break here. When we come back, we'll well, I don't know, man. Like I'm really gonna miss it. Anyway, let's take a 90-second break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up and then get into OMC.
This is DTC. We are taking a short break, but we will be right back. In the meantime, check out our YouTube channel, which is updated with content regularly. And if you haven't already, find us on your favorite podcast platform and hit subscribe. You can find the show on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, and Twitter. Just search for DTC or Defeating the Curse. Thanks for supporting us. The show will be right back. This is DTC. We are taking a short break, but we will be right back. In the meantime, check out our YouTube channel, which is updated with content regularly. And if you haven't already, find us on your favorite podcast platform and hit subscribe. You can find the show on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, and Twitter. Just search for DTC or Defeating the Curse. Thanks for supporting us. The show will be right back.
FP, I was looking at this. First of all, I think that's the first time in 5 years. That thing has been in the board for 5 years. We've never used the 90-second break. We've never used the 3-minute break. I kind of like it. I think this is going to be making a weekly appearance moving forward.
It was needed today.
Yeah, I saw you shaking and baking, and you got to go. That's good. I did look up Reality's under contract until the end of August. I'd be surprised if another network doesn't pick him up and give him a shot at doing a similar style show. I don't know what happens with all of those contributors.
Yeah, if you're an FS1, steal him.
Well, anyone. If you're Yahoo Sports or CBS Sports and you've got your online studios or whatever, you could bring reality in to do something like that. I don't know how much of that show centers around him. I just like we've literally seen him go from stat boy, no name, to temporary host, to full-time host, to legend, with 4,000 shows under his belt. I mean, I still vividly remember the day he talked about, the loss of his son, at birth. Like it was like, I just, he's our age. Like, I don't know how else to describe him and like his individual importance to us. But, Tim Kalishaw talked about finding, sobriety on Around the Horn.
Right.
Woody Page talked about, depression openly on Around the Horn. Bob Ryan. I mean, it's a lot, but I guess RIP to a freaking amazing pivotal show. I mean, it embedded. And I love what you said, right? We grew up with it. It's maybe not the largest reason why we're here doing a podcast all these years later, but the love of sports and discussion was all planted way back when.
Yeah. I mean, just the concept of you and a couple of your buddies talking sports, group chat, whatever the forum is, you're just talking sports, right? And they just videotaped it and put it on. And the thing is, like, the debate behind sports is the best part of sports. Like, yeah, the game is interesting and you see some great plays and you can discuss it. But what really gets you going as a sports fan is the actual debate. And that's why you have season schedule release and talking about the rules in the NFL and ban or don't ban the tush push and all of these like minute little fluff details that really mean nothing to the actual game gets talked about to death. And like the money behind the ESPNs and the FS1 and the Yahoos and all of it, it's the debate behind it. And that really started with that format started with Around the Horn, right? Like Get Up and Good Morning Football and all this stuff. They're all just branches off of Around the Horn where you just bring in experts on your whatever market team, whatever.
Yes.
And you discuss and you debate.
Yes. The entirety of the talking head model is born of this, to be very honest. It just is. There's no way around it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to reach out to Tony. Maybe we can get him in here. Him and Varun. Like, we need the Wizards beat reporter. Varun Shacker needs to come in here. And we got to get Tony Reale. He's a DC guy, once upon a time anyway. So,
although based on DTC becoming a two-man show, we're getting closer to PTI than we did Around the Horn. But
hey, that's fine with me. 340 episodes. We got about 4,000 and change to go, FP. All right. I'm ready to go OMC unless you got something else you want to hit on.
No, I'm good. Let's go. Let's hit it.
All right. So we got two movies on tap: Cable Guy and Hangover 2. Am I using the rewatching classics or get your popcorn?
I think you might have to go classics on it.
Yeah, Cable Guy is a classic. Okay, all right. Here we go.
This is the Off-Season Movie Club, rewatching the classics.
All right, FP. Cable Guy is up first. 1996, 56 on the tomato meter, 6.1 IMDb, 3 out of 5 from media critics. Overall, very medium-ish reviews. The movie stars, obviously, Jim Carrey as an oddball cable installer named Chip Douglas, who attempts to strike up a friendship with his customer, Stephen Kovacs, right, played by Matthew Broderick, by offering him premium channels at no cost. When Stephen rebuffs Chip's frequent need for companionship, Chip goes from a mildly eccentric acquaintance to a fully fledged psycho stalker, though it's increasingly apparent to Stephen that the cable guy's dangerous. Convincing his friends, family, and authorities of that is an entirely different matter. Released in 1996, very much in the Jim Carrey face
golden era,
directed by Ben Stiller. I think his best directorial job, in my opinion, and we can debate that separately. This was my pick. It is a classic. I'm going to say I think it's Jim Carrey's best movie. I love this movie. Liar Liar is maybe a smidge higher. I love Ace Ventura for what it is. But I don't think I could get through Ace Ventura today. Not in one sitting, not on purpose. Cable Guy, I could watch right now. If it was on this TV behind me, I would spin around and I would watch it to completion. I love this movie.
I
Oh no. I'm gonna get Andied.
Listen,
I'm gonna get Andied.
I appreciate the movie. I think Unhinged Jim Carrey is the movie. I am one to agree that Liar Liar is a little bit better of an unhinged Jim Carrey.
Liar Liar is really good. Okay.
Really, really good. The difference, but like Matthew Broderick, I think makes this movie to me more than Jim Carrey.
Broderick is
to
awesome.
just see his stone faced. Like there's one
Ferris
scene like
Bueller
I
things.
didn't
A lot of
I
Ferris
didn't
Bueller.
realize that this is what I did until I watched that movie. But like their first mandate when they go to the satellite dish and they come back and they're sitting in the car and Matthew Broderick's like, "Yeah, I don't know your name." And he's like, "I'm Chip whatever." And then he like looks at him and Matthew Broderick's just like, "Okay." And he just leaves. And I was like, that's where I got it from. Like, it's just like, all right, I'm done with this conversation. And you just walk out. And like, listen, it's a great movie. And would I tell anybody that they have to watch it? Yes, I'll tell somebody they have to watch it.
Good.
Watch it one way through. It is one of those classics.
Can we talk about this cast for a second? Because you just mentioned it. And usually I talk about cast. Obviously, Jim Carrey and Ben Stiller, great.
Right.
Matthew Broderick, interesting general career. This has to be up there with Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, it's one of his most notable.
Right. Leslie Mann is awesome in this movie. She plays Robin Harris.
It's weird seeing a super young Leslie Mann.
Yes.
Because her career took off when she embraced like middle-aged
vibes, yes.
cougar, tired of life face.
But you also have super young Owen Wilson, super young Jack Black, super young Bob Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk is in this movie.
Yeah. During
30 years ago.
family visit. Yeah.
Eric Roberts is in this movie, right? I mean, Amy Stiller is in this movie. Who else? Andy Dick is in this movie. Like, I mean, Kathy Griffin is in this movie. It's butt loaded cast, right? And I think the entire budget, when I looked it up, it was like the whole movie was made for like 25 million or maybe less.
Right.
I shouldn't love this movie as much as I do. I'll be honest. Kathy didn't like it. Like my wife sat down she was like, "Okay, what's on the OMC this week?" I was like,
I feel like me and your wife are lined up on it, where it's like you recognize the talent, like Jim Carrey during the karaoke scene is magnificent. Right, like it's a magnificent, and like the movement and the shaking of the neck to hit the notes, like it's a magnificent scene.
Oh, so good. If you don't give this a 5, I'm gonna be so pissed.
A 5.
I'm gonna rage quit. I'm gonna rage quit. Damn it! This is a good.
It's a
comedy.
Great like, and I think that's what it was for me. Right, was like the dark comedy part of it was like. It's hard to go dark comedy plus unhinged Jim Carrey. He executes it perfectly. He is sociopathic in this movie, but it's like, is he? Like it's like it's hard. I'll put it this way, right? When Cable Guy came out, was groundbreaking, and it was something that you're like, oh wow, this is an incredible movie. But then when you see the rest of Jim Carrey's career and you revisit Cable Guy, you can't get past the Jim Carrey of it all. You know what I mean?
It's fair. I mean, it's fair. This is 2 years after Ace Ventura. It's 1 year before Ace Ventura 2. It's before The Mask. It's before, like, he does some real acting later on in his career, right? But to me, like, the basketball scene is like
a fantastic scene.
When you get to a movie like Along Came Polly and you watch that basketball scene, they're different scenes, but like the transition between like the movie and the next part of the movie and putting this in the middle, it's the same. It's very Stiller, right? the goofiness of it, the warm ups with the drills, the smashing,
the suicide warm up, like that might be one of the funniest scenes.
Taking your guy friend to medieval times and putting the bacon on the face. Like there's like again, I don't know why I got such a kick out of all these stupid scenes. Or when he's standing there in the rain, he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I wanted to be your friend."
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's enough in this that even the old technology, right? He's on the phone pole with the phone. He's the answering machine.
Yeah, and like it hits all of your emotional markers, right? Like even like the cringe, uncomfortable password game, and like I'm not gonna say that in front of my mom. Like it's so uncomfortable.
Yes,
it's hilarious.
Listen. I'm happy. Did you get through it in one sitting?
I got through it in one sitting. Yes.
Did you laugh a little?
I laughed a little bit. Yeah.
Did you laugh when he put his boob on the glass in the gym? Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I laughed when he was like, "I've never dunked before. Thanks for the lift." After running up Jack Black's back. I mean, listen, it's a great movie, and it has its iconic moments. 5 is a really high.
Oh, okay. I'm okay. It's not a 5. It's not a 5. But all right, it was my pick, so you go first. What are you giving it?
I will give it a 4.
I love it. I'll take a 4.
I will give it a 4.
4 means it literally it dunks all over stupid Usual Suspects. Okay,
because of unhinged. Like I'm just a sucker for unhinged Jim Carrey because
what's a good movie?
Plot removed. Just seeing Jim Carrey get to go out and be like whatever he wants to be, it's always a good time. Like, and I'll go. You'll have no idea what I'm talking about here. Jim Carrey retired from acting, and he came back for 3 movies: Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3. Jim Carrey is like, I'm done acting. But he comes back for stupid Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay. And it's because he gets to do unhinged Jim Carrey.
What he wants to do.
He just gets to be like the camera pointing on him, and he gets to just and like you can see it. Like he is trying not to make the audience laugh. He's trying to make the cast members laugh.
Yeah. He's trying to get everybody.
Everything he is doing is to just make it.
I think in his mind, he's still on In Living Color. Like
I think so too. Yeah.
He's still doing, skits and bits and, I mean, Ace Ventura. I don't know the last time you revisited Ace Ventura. If you've never seen Ace Ventura 1, skip it and watch Ace Ventura 2. Because 2, you get all the same stupid mannerisms, but when you see them for the first time in 2 is a better movie.
Yes. Plot wise.
Yeah. There's just more going on. Right. But if you've seen Ace Ventura 1 and all the pants and the hair and the stuff, it's just not as funny when you see it.
The magic of Jim Carrey is that unhinged Jim Carrey is the same but completely different in every movie.
And I love
Bruce Almighty, Liar Liar, Cable Guy, Ace Ventura, The Mask. They're all the same Jim Carrey.
Yeah, big energy, big theatrics, yes.
But completely different.
Yeah. The reason I think it works for him in the Cable Guy is it's not over the top from like an aesthetics perspective, right? Like it's a dark comedy. I think Ben Stiller nailed this, right? It's not floral and lights and bright and animals and, masks and whatever. It's dark. It's basketball in a gym. It's a guy on a phone pole, right? It's
driving
really
in a shady end.
Yeah, it's really yeah. So anyway, I'm thrilled with your 4. And frankly,
it's a 4. It's a movie that in 2 years, somebody's like, "Oh, let's watch Cable Guy." I'll watch it. I have no problem watching it.
It's funny as a background movie, and if you've never seen it, honestly, you need to see it. Like to me, this is the definition of a classic. Like you need to see it, if not only for just all the cast members that are in it. I mean, it's a definitive. It also encapsulates like a perfect. It's a perfect encapsulation of mid-90s life.
Yeah.
You wanted
the big
to go
screen, the karaoke.
You wanted to go to that one friend's house that had the secret hacked cable box.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We all had a friend that had access to the other channels.
Yes.
Right. Cinemax.
Yeah.
At night for the sleepover. Right. Like it just perfectly encapsulates that era so well. I'm really happy with your 4. I was really concerned you're going to come in here and give it like a 2 or some poopy score.
No, I mean you have to like. Maybe I have like an unofficial divider in my brain of comedies, dramas, whatever, but like it's up there, right? Like it's up. Like I don't know anybody that has seen The Cable Guy and has been like, this is the worst movie ever, because everybody loves the flavor of unhinged Jim Carrey. So even if you don't necessarily like the movie or the plot, you're enjoying
but it's
the antics of Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it's impossible to watch.
Yeah, you like it's like
it gets you every time.
Everybody loves Jim Carrey. Yes. You're not walking away disappointed from this movie.
I think I said this when we did Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like Paul Rudd in that movie is very memorable in spurts because of the way he acts his character. Right. This is, for me, this resonates kind of on that same wavelength. You will come away with this. If you've never seen it, you're going to come away with it with a couple of thoughts. One, there's real actors in this movie that are like coming of age at this time. This is their precursor. This is their first real big, thing. And second, like Jim Carrey is the star of this movie in all of his weirdness and bigness. Like he is the star, but the movie isn't necessarily about him. It's actually about Matthew Broderick. It's the Entourage effect, right? Where the show is written to be about Vince, but it's actually about E, right? Like it's one of these things where as you see it more and more, you realize the Entourage is not about Vince at all. It's about the growth of E managing Vince. It's the same thing here. So I love your 4. I'm going with a 4 as well. This is a comedy that should be on everyone's list to see if you haven't seen it. Perfect summer comedy, in my opinion, too. This is the kind of thing you have on in the background at a house party. Everybody's going to pick up, like, because it's visually funny even without the sound. You can come into this movie at any point in time and laugh.
Yeah, I mean, watching Jim Carrey strut into the bathroom looking like a low-budget Freddie Mercury, like, I mean,
you can with no audio. This movie's hysterical. So it's a solid 4 for me too. I hope the rest of the boys get around to seeing it. I think Andy didn't want to pay the $4. I Venmo'd it to him, so hopefully he does check it out, because I'm surprised.
I think actually, like, LP is like one of the hardest people to get to sit down and watch anything that's not sports. Even like this week, he's like, "What's OMC this week?" I was like, "Cable Guy." He's like, "Okay, yeah, it's a good movie." Just him saying that is
enough
proof.
For me. We've done our job here on the OMC. We did pick a second movie. If you got, let's knock this one out too. Recent classic, but classic nonetheless. Hangover 2. Now, Hangover 1 FP was literally a blockbuster. I mean, how does anybody say that it wasn't? Not in the sense that it necessarily, made a ton of money. Like I'm not talking specifically about cash, but Hangover 2, Rotten Tomatoes is at a 34, which blew my mind. That
the definition of a cult classic.
The people, TV, the critics had it at a 4 out of 5. IMDb has it at a 6 out of 10. So not terribly high rated. This to me again feels a lot like the Ace Ventura 2 versus Ace Ventura 1 model. If you see Ace Ventura 1 or if you see Hangover 1, you kind of know what's going to happen in Hangover 2. But if you've seen none of these movies, if you've never seen Hangover 1, skip it and watch Hangover 2, because Hangover 2 is a better movie, in my opinion. And, Hangover 2 is obviously Zach Galifianakis. I can never say that name. Ed Helms, Bradley Cooper, Justin Bartha plays Doug. Ken Jeong. Like, there's the cast is the cast, right? But 2 years after Hangover 1, which takes place in Vegas, Stu's character, Ed, played by Ed Helms, it's his turn to walk down the aisle. His bride's from Thailand. They go to Thailand, and the rest is history. I mean, when was the last time before OMC that you sat down and watched Hangover 2?
I feel like it was last summer.
Can I confess something to you right now? But don't judge me.
You're a regular visitor of the Hangover.
Hangover 2 is on my travel iPad. I travel with it. I travel with Ocean's 11, Casino Royale, Hangover 2.
That's a solid trio.
Those 4,
Back to the Future as well.
Those are my 4 movies.
Not Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 1.
Original Back to the Future.
Okay.
Those are the 4 movies that are permanently installed. Permanently.
Yeah, those are 4 that I could watch at any given time.
No matter what's happening in the airplane or the airport, I'm perfectly fine watching any of those 4 movies. anytime, anywhere, any reason. And honestly, Cable Guy might be number 5 after this most recent revisit. I got a 10-hour flight coming up in about a month. I'm thinking about what movies I'm going to travel with. Like, these are the ones I travel with, FP. I'm not going to say I watch it regularly. It's around me regularly. I could talk about this movie with 30
well,
seconds.
when a monkey nibbles on a weenus, it's funny in any language.
Yeah,
So.
I like PF Chang's, right? What is this, a PF Chang's? Some of the best single one-line zingers are in Hangover 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the better movie of the 3. If you've never seen 1, skip it, go straight to 2. It's the better movie. I'm gonna go to my grave saying this. I love this movie. I watched it fresh this past week because I was traveling. It was on my iPad, like I said. I was traveling, and I got a good chance to spend some time with it again. But I watched it through the lens of OMC, and I came away really with the same thoughts that I've always had about this movie. It's extremely well acted. It's extremely well paced. The curveballs and the outlandish, over the top, like make you freak out moments. It doesn't matter if you see them. If you watch this movie every single day, there's certain parts of it that you're gonna chuckle or break a smile or whatever every single time you watch it, because it's
even if you know the joke, you're laughing at how it was executed, how they acted it, all of it.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Ed Helms, this is one of his, and obviously Ed is famous for all of his, for being Andy on The Office and whatever. Yes. This is some of his best acting in Hangover 2. And it's a weird comedy, and he's got a tattoo on his face. I understand.
Yeah, it looks like a devil's whispering in his ear.
His reactionary acting, like as he's finding things out, is next level, man. Bradley Cooper, like it's weird saying like this is young Bradley Cooper. It's 13 years ago, but this is before he was directing stuff. This is before he was the star maker that he is now, right? This is before like he was carrying movies by himself, like Limitless and some of the other stuff he's done more recently. He's great in the series. He's really good in this one.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this?
It's one of those movies, like it came out kind of like I'll equate it to like Anchorman, in that like before social media came to be what social media is, and everyone's just scrolling the Instagram reels, and that's what everybody would share and talk to each other. When a group of guys got together and they weren't talking sports, it's just Hangover quotes. It's just Anchorman quotes. It's just Borat quotes. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those movies where if there's a lull in conversation, you just start quoting The Hangover, Hangover 2, and everyone's laughing and everybody's seen it. And it's just one of those movies, cult classic, right? Like, maybe the ratings aren't as good as they could be, but it's a cult classic in that it's like, yeah, you watch it and are you going to make, like, you're one of the few people that like makes time to watch it, or not makes time, but like you're on a plane, you're like, let me put it on. But it's one of those movies where if it's on,
there's no way you're turning it off.
You're not turning, like, there's almost nothing else is going to beat it out on 700 channels of TV.
Nothing's
going to beat it out. Yeah.
Not going to happen. Every time Bangkok's got him now. And then they go visit the monks, and Zach with the one-liner about PF Chang's is amazing. Every time it gets me. Stu finding out about the ladyboys and the situation, the situation, like it makes you,
and just like the closing credits, like the camera, the disposable camera, it's real. It's all real stuff. Like they actually got drunk, went out, and did these things. Like, it's hilarious.
Yes, and because it's shot in Bangkok, I mean, we get a cameo towards the end from Paul Giamatti in this, right, where he's kills it. It comes out of left field, right? You also get a second Mike Tyson, random cameo in this. Like you get a bunch of just random stuff in this. The monkey plays a pivotal role in this movie, believe it or not, right? It all just comes together, and one of the main characters loses an appendage, and it's worked into the movie.
Yeah.
Right. The dark side and the face tattoo. And you get what's his face? The director, the guy, the tattoo guy, the Bangkok's got him now guy. That's going to drive me nuts.
What's
his director with the tats? Who is it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know.
Oh, this is gonna drive me nuts. Nick Cassavetes.
Yes.
Huge, like the director, Nick Cassavetes. Sorry, I was just blanking there. Sorry, I'm sure that audio was fun for nobody. This movie is solid in my book. It's again, I like your assessment. If it's on TV, you're not turning past it. I'm sorry, you're not going to do it. Same with Hangover 1 for that matter. There's a couple scenes in Hangover 1 that get you every time. Ed Helms on the piano playing, what do tigers dream of?
Yeah. Classic.
Then we're gonna find our best friend Doug and give him a best friend hug. Like some of those things just kind of live in perpetuity.
If you remember the time where you used to have like dial tone ringtones when you called somebody, you didn't hear the ringtone, you heard the song. That would have been the perfect one to choose while you're waiting for somebody to pick up.
Yes, and the beauty of that particular scene in Hangover 1 wasn't scripted. He just
off the cuff
played a melody and then wrote a song. That just speaks to his musical genius. But Hangover 2 for me, I love it. It's like I said, I travel with it. It's up there for me. What are you scoring Hangover 2?
Ooh.
Actually, let me go first on this one. Even though I love it and I travel with it, it's a 3.
Oh, I was actually going to give it 3.5.
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
Yeah.
Like in the grand big screen like scheme of things, right?
Yeah. In the cinematic universe that is.
It's a 3, right?
It's a 3 to maybe a 3.5.
It's not an original idea, right? It's the soundtrack is not particularly amazing. Like it's somewhat predictable. Like
right.
You watch it out of comfort almost.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to be, wowed every time through. It's almost the opposite of an Ocean's 11, which we've never actually reviewed the Oceans. I know we talked about it last week.
When Ocean's 11 came out, even though it was a remake, we'll save it for another OMC. But it was a
summer classic in my book.
It was an instant,
yeah. That movie belongs on a rotation on AMC. Like it is, yeah. But for me, I think 3.5 is kind of where Hangover 2 belongs. I'm just curious, FP, where would you put Hangover 1?
That one might have to be a 4.
Okay,
3.5 to a 4.
Just
because of its groundbreakingness.
It's fair.
Of what it was when when the trailer for Hangover came out. I don't know if you remember this. They didn't really tell you what Hangover was about.
Yeah,
and then everybody they were like, okay, this is a pretty cool cast. And then you go into the movie, and it's
like boom, boom, boom.
out of right field. Yes. What the hell did I just see? This is hilarious.
Yes.
That you walk out of it and you're like, that was the funniest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it may not have been the actual funniest movie you've ever seen, but in that moment, that was the funniest movie I've ever seen. So it gets the 3.5 to 4 for that one.
That's fair. So you put Hangover 1 over Hangover 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair. I can't disagree.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with you. I think the story in 2, if it came first, maybe a little bit better.
The story is better in 2. Because I'm not going into it blind. 1 is better than 2. If I was going into it blind, 2 would be better than 1.
Yeah, and I think I agree with that. 1 in its own right was pretty spectacular, to be honest.
Nobody was expecting it.
The wedding
and how it got greenlit from studios and just everybody was like, "Yeah, go ahead and make this crazy."
Ride the lightning,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good stuff in there too. Yeah, it was good. So for May, we've been doing comedy month. Do you have something in mind? LP threw me a curveball saying you wanted to do some manhunt thing. How do you feel about that?
Nah, it's a 3-part miniseries documentary.
I mean, do it. It doesn't seem like a comedy.
If we're gonna count documentaries as movies,
but does it fit in the thematic?
Nah.
We said comedies for May. We got one more week of May.
We got to do a good comedy.
Okay. Do you have something in mind, or should we revisit offline?
Let's revisit offline because I wanna end comedy month really strong.
Okay. You're gonna pick.
I'll pick
one movie.
Okay,
sooner the better because I'd love to get back on our regular Tuesday night recording.
Yeah. I'll try to get it so we can watch it this weekend.
Okay, that sounds good to me. FP, are you still watching this game? It's a
close game.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I've been monitoring here a little bit, so we'll say goodbye here And thank you for hanging out, FP. And then we'll switch over to live sports for a little bit. Any final thoughts?
No, nothing really. It's the lull of the off season, but playoffs are fun, so just enjoy them while we can.
Absolutely. And I think let's go Pacers. I think we'll see.
Yeah, I think Pacers. I'm going Pacers Thunder is what I want to see.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. Thank you again, FP, for making time on a Friday night. I hope you get to enjoy the awesome weather this upcoming weekend. The streak lives, my friend. Thank you for making time again. My name is Joe. The show is DTC, available wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us on this Friday night. Get this show anywhere you get your podcasts. Check Spotify, check Google, check Amazon. Tell Alexa to play DTC. We pop right up. And believe it or not, you actually get our faces on your Alexa device if you have one with a screen as well. So thanks again. The show is DTC. Until next week, which is in our case 3 days away, we're out.